my God, here we go again. Twice in 1 week. Live on tape from a secret, undisclosed location, hidden somewhere deep in the bowels of historic downtown St. John's, Newfoundland, comes In the Library of Graphic Literature with your fun-filled host, me, Hollis Ryan. Let's have a sip of tea before we get into this. And a spin of that. Oh, although Frank tells me this drives his cats wild, so I'll keep it to a minimum for you. Oh, what a week! What a week! Oh, I've gone mad. First of all, my good buddy of ours, Mike Feehan, is nominated for Eisner Award. Way to go, Mike! We're all voting for you. But of course, the big news, at least for myself and my friend Paul Tucker, is dun, 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 Nobody's Control. This is an actual copy from a comic book store. Number 1, Nobody's in Control from Black Mass Comics, Black Mass Studios, is out at last. This is the first printing, or at least cover A, cover B, done by the incomparable Judd Haynes. Hopefully we'll be out within the next week or two. We're not quite sure. We're checking up on it, and we'll post as soon as we know. But yeah, I'm very pleased with it. Lots of lettering in this one, I tell you, folks. But yeah, go check it out yourselves. Go to your local comic book store. Oh, look, and as a matter of fact, you can even see there. See, it says hand lettered by Wallace Ryan. So I insisted that it say hand lettered because I'm into hand lettering, and I'm trying to bring it back in a big way into the comic book world. Like, look at all that lettering. It just looks good to me. Hand lettering is like handwriting. It's individual and it's beautiful. But anyway, great comic. Patrick Kindlin wrote it. Beautiful job, Patrick. Love it. I've actually read it too, and it is good. And I thought it was good from the very first time I read it. So, way to go, Patrick. Now, in terms of new comics, what do we have in terms of new comics here this week? Let us explore. Oh, I've seen the DC Inc. Books, like graphic novels, and they look pretty good. There's the Mirror and the Catwoman one. I predict big things for that line. I can see what they're doing with it too. Okay, so first of all, from the grand folks at Drawn and Quarterly, we have the complete Clyde Fans. Dun, 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 dun. I got this, I've read good parts of this before. This is a picture novel by Seth, who actually went to the same art school I did in Toronto, Ontario College, right around the same time. And he's quite the character, and I love his work. Absolutely incredible work. I mean, even this, I mean, even inside, he got a pattern inside. So, love the production values. And this one I like here too is the die cut there in the cover. So let's have a look at this beautiful little book. I've been waiting for this because I've read parts of this and all that, and I love it. There's just something about Seth's work that really appeals to me. It has this beautiful, quiet, reflective quality to it, and beautifully drawn. I love his drawing style. Very simple, very expressive. Now this is a man who knows how to tell a story using pictures and words. One heck of a... Oh, have a look at that. Cool, eh? But yeah, Clyde Fans. I'm a fan of Clyde Fans. So get out there and get your copy. It's beautiful. Oh man, I can't wait to read that. Well, let's see, from here, from Mariko Tamaki, Laura Dean keeps breaking up with me. Actually seen her sister Jillian speak here recently in St. John's, and she's very good. And oh look, I love this, the embossed lettering. This came out also in soft cover today, but she's another amazing Canadian. Pretty sure she is Canadian. I was going to say, yeah. Graphic novelist. So, folks, when I picked this up, it looked, I just bought it on her name alone, you know, it was just like this. She's done amazing stuff and got great reviews, so I figured I'm going to give it a shot. I love this cover too, actually. Very nicely drawn. Okay. Whew. It's been a long day today unpacking comics and signing, actually autographing comics too. Something cool about autographing comics that you sell to people too. Yeah, so much fun. Oh, okay, now here we have Pre-Code's classic, The Hand of Fate. Woo! This has Chickstone, Lou Cameron, Ace Baker, you know, the usual crowd. Once again, as everyone knows, I love these PS Artbooks just because of the, I don't know, I like the old-fashioned horror stories. I love the ads that they leave into the books, stuff like that, and they're, you know, they're nice little books actually. And I love the slip cases too. They're very nicely done. So have a check this out, see what you think of it. Very, very snazzy, old-fashioned horror comics. Oh, and here's the, oh, what's this here? Lose weight, reduce, spot reducer. That's okay if you got spots you want to reduce. But yeah, love the artwork in these. Oh, and the Hourglass Waist Nipper. I mean, come on, people, please. But yeah, it's love the stories. There's just something about these that really speak to me. A lot of Leroy lettering in some of these. But yeah, definitely. Oh, and chewing gum reduce. I guess people were really, really obsessed by the weight back in the 50s, it seems. And we'll gain more weight here. We don't want skinny on our team. I mean, come on. Anyway, I always loved the PS Artbooks. I started a little bit late into them. I mean, they're not really late, but you know, I'd seen them for a while. I'd bought a few of them and all that, especially the Frankenstein by Dick Briefer, which I loved, and the Heap, and they kind of got me really into it, and I just went bananas from there. And but yeah, definitely worth you purchasing. Now let's see, what else do we have here today. Aha! Now this is the. Well, this is just making sure. This is yeah. This is, which volume? This is volume, where is it? It's printed here. Okay. This is, jeez, I guess, where is it? Volume 20 in the Carl Barks Library. This is the Minds of King Solomon. Of course, I'm going to read this within the next day or so because I'm a huge Duck fan. Uncle Scrooge, The Minds of King Solomon. Big fan of Carl Barks. I mean, I've read every single one of these comics that I've bought. The sometimes when I talk about the about this with some of my other comic book friends and all that, they kind of laugh and say, "Oh, Duck comics and all that." You know, they just don't get the respect that they should get, I think. But yeah, well worth it, and especially Barks too. He was the master. Barks and I guess Don Rose are my two all-time favorite Duck artists. But yeah, check it out. They're nicely done. Great job there, Fantagraphics, and keep them coming. I'd just like to see them coming out a bit quicker. But just keep them coming. Oh, time to have a sip of tea here. Not a lot of books this week, actually. Well, I guess 1, 2, 3, 4 books. And the last one here, and I'm trying to do this because I know I've been recording a lot. I know I don't have much time left before this goes out, so this is going to be a sort of short show. But I had one earlier the week too, and that was kind of short. And this is Nailbiter from Image. This is, I read this and I liked it so much. It was just something really cool about it. I'm not a huge horror fan. I don't go in for gore and stuff like that, but what I read of this I actually liked. And I guess as much as gore too, it's a good suspense book too. So you like that type of stuff? Check that out for sure. So yeah, I guess it is going to be a very short show this week compared to a lot of other weeks. But of course, once again, and my friend who runs the comic book shop, who owns the comic book shop, Jason, kept saying to me when he heard me talk about this to people today down at the shop, I think I was starting to drive him crazy. But so I said to him, well, you know, I grew up in advertising, and I come from a family of shopkeepers and retailers and all that, so it's kind of, it's in my blood. But tomorrow night we're having a signing. I haven't done a signing. Well, actually, I did a signing with my friend Gail Pico when she did her book. I did the cover for it, so it's not the same thing. But the last time before that would have been back in the 90s when myself and a friend of mine, Fox Lidstone, we did a comic called Toxic, and we had a few signings for that. And but this is my first one in a long time, and so I'm going to be there with Paul Tucker, my good buddy. Paul, of course, does the art in this, and the art is spectacular. Paul, I think, is going to be one of the premier storytellers in the next few years. We're working on a few other projects together too. He actually gave me a copy of his Walk comic too, so I'm glad to have that for myself. But for any of you up in Toronto, Paul will actually be there at TCAF, so drop by and say hello to him and tell him that you love our comic. You love it as much as I do. Oh, mama, you are my favorite comic. Come to me. But anyway, yeah, nobody is in control, and obviously I'm not in control. So I asked you to go out and pick up our little book that could, and let me know what you think of my lettering. I'm a darn good letterer. Anyway, that's about it. We'll have our, so like I say, we have our signing, and this is of course free comic book day, so go down to your local comic book store, pick up a couple of free comics. But also, besides going to free comic book day, I always like to ask people, when you do go to the free comic book day, whatever store, whatever city that you go to, also buy a comic, or buy a couple of other comics too, because retailers actually, it's free comic book day for all you people out there, but the retailers do pay for the comics. So I just want you to keep that in mind, you know, and just, you know, share the wealth, you know, support your local comic book store, and buy a comic when you're out there on free comic book day. That being said, gonna pull this episode to a close, and I love you all out there. Please buy my book, or buy me and Paul and Patrick Kinlan's book. It's super cool. And that being said, it's time once again to summon up another one of those cool boom tubes, and I'll be seeing you folks next week. Love y'all. Yes, and don't forget, for anyone coming to Newfoundland or anyone in Newfoundland, last week in June, there is a Pure Comics Festival of Graphic Literature with myself, Paul, Mike, the Eisner nominated Mike Fien, my my buddy Andrew Hawthorne will be doing workshops. There'll be stuff to buy there. It's going to be great. It's going to be the little festival that really could. Okay, love you folks. See you next week. Okay, bye. Whoa!